What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for NFL Week 14, Monday Night Football.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon
so you don't miss our new videos.
Okay guys, in this video, I'm going to give you my top DFS picks for this Monday Night Football showdown between the Los Angeles Rams and the Arizona Cardinals. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Oh, and good news guys, make sure to stay tuned to the very end of this video because we removed the box that was popping up and blocking the lineup. So now you can see a full lineup using these picks that we made in this video if you stay to the very end. Okay guys, let's take a look at this Monday Night Football showdown between the Los Angeles Rams and the Arizona Cardinals. So at the quarterback position, I like both of the quarterbacks on this slate. You got Kyler Murray from the Arizona Cardinals playing the LA Rams, who have a good defense overall. They've been good versus opposing quarterbacks, but Kyler Murray has averaged 24.6 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 6.6 rush attempts per game. He's going to be about 63% owned, projected at 22.4 fantasy points here tonight. He's 11,200 DraftKings salary. Vegas thinks there's going to be 51.5 points scored in this game, with the Cardinals favored by 2. So Kyler Murray scored 31 fantasy points last game. He had 10 rush attempts, so I love that rushing floor. So I like Kyler Murray here versus the LA Rams. And then you got Matthew Stafford from the LA Rams playing the Arizona Cardinals, who have a good defense overall. They've been good versus opposing quarterbacks, but Matthew Stafford has averaged 23.4 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 2.1 rush attempts per game. He's going to be about 53% owned, projected at 19.3 fantasy points here tonight. He's 10,400 DraftKings salary, and Matthew Stafford has scored 24, 27, and 12 fantasy points in the last 3 games, and he got one rush attempt in each of those games. So Matthew Stafford's got some pretty big upside. So I like Matthew Stafford here versus the Arizona Cardinals. Okay, let's take a look at the running back position. Only 2 running backs I'm looking at here on this slate. I like James Conner from the Arizona Cardinals playing the LA Rams, and both these teams have a good defense overall, and both of them are good versus opposing running backs. James Conner has averaged 15.7 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 13.8 rush attempts per game and 1.8 pass targets per game. He's going to be about 22% owned, projected at 13.3 fantasy points here tonight. He's 9,800 DraftKings salary. So James Conner scored 19, 21, and 15 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 20, 21, and 10 rush attempts on top of 2, 6, and 4 pass targets. So tons of volume the past couple of games. So I like James Conner here versus the LA Rams. Now, if you want to save some salary at the running back position, take a look at Sony Michel from the LA Rams. And Sony Michel scored 25 fantasy points last game off of 24 rush attempts and 4 pass targets. He's going to be about 53% owned, projected at 15.3 fantasy points here tonight. He's only 7,200 DraftKings salary.
Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching.
if you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal,
all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won.
and we'll send you $25 PayPal.
So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you.
He's only $7,200 DraftKings salary. So I like that Sony Michel got 24 rush attempts and 4 pass targets last game. Had a great game, but I am a little bit concerned because that's not his normal production. But if he's going to get 20 plus rush attempts or 20 plus touches in this game at only $7,200 DraftKings salary, that seems like it would be a pretty decent play. But I am concerned his ownership is pretty high at 53%. So I'll have a lineup with Sony Michel, but I think my preferred lineup is going to be to fade Sony Michel because of that high ownership. Even though he's low salary, I think there's players that can score more fantasy points at the wide receiver position. So I like Sony Michel, but I'm going to be a little cautious with this play here versus the Arizona Cardinals. Okay, let's take a look at the wide receiver position. Lots of good options at the wide receiver spot. The stud on the slate is Cooper Kupp from the LA Rams playing the Arizona Cardinals, who have a middle of the pack defense defending opposing wide receivers. And Cooper Kupp has averaged 27.1 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 11.3 targets per game. He's on the field for 93% of the snaps, going to be about 72% owned, projected at 25.2 fantasy points here tonight. He's $12,000 DraftKings salary, and Cooper Kupp just having an unbelievable season. Scored 30, 19, and 26 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 10, 10, and 13 pass targets. So I like Cooper Kupp here versus the Arizona Cardinals. Okay, now another stud wide receiver on the slate came back from injury last week. Should be closer to 100% going into this game. So I like DeAndre Hopkins from the Arizona Cardinals. And DeAndre Hopkins has averaged 15.2 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 5.7 pass targets per game. He's going to be about 38% owned, on the field for 82% of the snaps, projected at 14 fantasy points here tonight. He's $9,600 DraftKings salary. He scored 11 fantasy points off of 2 pass targets in his return to action last week. I'm expecting him to get around his season average of 5 to 7 pass targets here tonight. So I like DeAndre Hopkins here versus the LA Rams. Okay, now coming down in salary a little bit, take a look at Van Jefferson from the LA Rams. And Van Jefferson has averaged 10.9 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 5.8 pass targets per game. He's going to be about 25% owned, on the field for 81% of the snaps, projected at 12.5 fantasy points here tonight. He's $8,000 DraftKings salary, and Van Jefferson has scored 16, 18, and 8 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 8, 9, and 7 pass targets. So I like Van Jefferson here versus the Arizona Cardinals. Okay, another LA Rams wide receiver you got to pay attention to is Odell Beckham Jr. And he scored 11, 19, and 4 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 5, 10, and 3 pass targets. He's on the field for 69% of the snaps, going to be about 22% owned, projected at 12.1 fantasy points here tonight. He's only $6,200 DraftKings salary. So I think Odell Beckham Jr. is an interesting play here tonight. I think he's going to be like a hit or miss play, because sending him down the field. So if he can catch one of those long bombs for a touchdown, he's going to crush value. But if he doesn't score a touchdown on one of those long passes, I think it's going to be tough going for him, depending on how many pass targets he gets. But I do like his salary, so I like Odell Beckham Jr. here versus the Arizona Cardinals.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all the tools for NFL. NBA is right around the corner. This is a great time to get in and try everything for 1 month. The tools are all about saving research time. You can see the last 3 games, the fantasy points per game, the targets they got per game, so you can see how involved they are in the offense, the rushes they got per game. Seeing all this stuff on one screen helps you save time and make better picks.
Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups. Okay, now if you want to save some salary here at the wide receiver position, you could go with Christian Kirk from the Arizona Cardinals. He's only $5,600 DraftKings salary, but he did only score 1 fantasy point last game off of 3 pass targets. So the return of DeAndre Hopkins could eat into Christian Kirk's target share. Although his salary is low enough, he could hit value even with just a handful of targets. He's going to be about 26% owned and on the field for 71% of the snaps, projected at 10.9 fantasy points here tonight. So I think he's a decent value play here at $5,600. Just considering there's not much on the slate in terms of value. There's one value play I'm going to give you next, but you got Odell Beckham Jr. at $6,200 and Christian Kirk at $5,600. Then you got a couple of tight ends that are decent value plays, but I like Christian Kirk as a value play here versus the LA Rams. Okay, now here's the value play of the slate here. If you do want to stack those studs and you want a low salary player that's got some upside, take a look at Rondell Moore from the Arizona Cardinals. He's averaged 8.7 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 4.8 pass targets per game. He's going to be about 36% owned, projected at 7.8 fantasy points here tonight, but he's only $2,000 DraftKings salary. So that makes him an attractive play here tonight to give your lineup some salary relief so you can get those Cooper Kupps into your lineup. So Rondell Moore has scored 2, 16, and 3 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 2, 11, and 4 pass targets. So again, with the return of DeAndre Hopkins, I would not expect him to see 11 pass targets this game, but he could get 2 to 5 pass targets in this game. And if he scores a touchdown, he's going to crush value at only $2,000 DraftKings salary. So I like Rondell Moore as a low salary, high risk, high reward option here versus the LA Rams. Okay, moving on to the tight end position. Couple of tight ends I'm looking at on this slate. For the Arizona Cardinals, you got Zach Ertz, and he's averaged 9.9 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 5.2 pass targets per game. He's going to be about 24% owned, projected at 10.5 fantasy points here tonight. He's $5,400 DraftKings salary, and Zach Ertz has scored 2, 29, and 9 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 2, 9, and 6 pass targets. So a wide range of outcomes for Zach Ertz here versus the LA Rams. The other tight end I like is Tyler Higbee from the LA Rams, and he's averaging 8.5 fantasy points per game on the season, getting an average of 5.2 pass targets per game. He's going to be about 27% owned, and I like this pick because he's on the field for 91% of the snaps, projected at 9.5 fantasy points here tonight. He's only $5,000 DraftKings salary. He scored 10, 1, and 11 fantasy points in the last 3 games off of 6, 5, and 5 pass targets. So pretty consistent volume here over the last 3 games. So I think I do prefer Tyler Higbee a little bit more here than Zach Ertz, and he's a little bit cheaper, so I like that. So I like Tyler Higbee here versus the Arizona Cardinals.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smickety smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this NBA slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.